right, guys, this is episode 5 of Things and Dreams podcast. And my guest today, her name is Faith Cox. She went to school with me. We were media arts majors at University of South Carolina. And it's been a long time since I talked to you. I saw you at this what's called Punk Flea Market about a month and a half ago. You were selling your art. And then I asked you to come on the podcast. And now you're here to sell your art again. So
now I'm here.
So, Faith, can you tell the audience about yourself in 3 sentences?
Oh, gosh. I'm bad at biographies in general. Trying to keep my sentence count in check.
All right.
I make art stuff on the internet and also generally a fool of myself.
All right. So why are you a fool of yourself?
Because taking yourself too seriously is difficult to do and feels embarrassing. So I'd rather just lean into it.
Did you ever take yourself seriously, ever?
I don't know, there are times that I make pieces that are very emotional, but they feel like they have a different air about them than stuff that would be trying too hard or too serious. So
were you the jokester in school? Were you the funny one?
No, I was the very tight, anxious one.
And what started that? What do you think started the anxiousness?
Oh God.
I'm already getting into it.
Genetics.
Okay. You take your 23andMe or your Ancestry.com test?
No, but my parents have.
Okay.
But I mean, I know my grandma was very anxious. One of my close uncles is very anxious. My sister's anxious. Just kind of flows in my veins.
And how do you use it for your advantage?
It means, well, it's people say perfectionism is a double-edged sword. So on one hand, you really pay attention to all your stuff and you cross all your T's, dot all your I's, but at the same time, you never really feel satisfied with anything, and you get really caught up in everything being perfect. It's that kind of thing where in some ways it feels like an advantage to be way too caught up on stuff, but in the other ways it's a complete terrible burden.
Okay, so my thought is are you good at bragging about yourself?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. I was getting at that a little bit. And why you don't think you're good at bragging about yourself?
Oh gosh, this is therapy, right off the bat.
It's talk therapy. It is. This is 5 episodes in, and each episode I get to know the person, and it's talk therapy at the same time.
Get a little sip of wine real quick.
Yeah. Everyone wants to loosen up beforehand. So. People want to know the person behind the artist and
right.
Why they make the art, and you don't have to share everything, but I like to be open. So if you have any things you want to ask me, I'll be open and honest about it. So
fair.
So why don't you like to brag about yourself?
Well, for one, being humble is a good quality. So you're not supposed to be braggadocious.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like it's not good to inflate your own ego too much, and especially if you feel like you're a student of something, going off and being
Ooh.
I'm the best in the world just makes you look like an idiot when you're in progress at that moment.
Yeah, I like that answer. So what are you in progress doing? Tell people what you're doing right now.
Just trying to get better at art in general. I only started drawing about 4 years ago, mid 2017. Other than little doodles as a child, it's kind of the first time I ever took it seriously. And so I'm actually trying to study things like anatomy and digital imaging software and the whole gamut of things, and it often becomes very overwhelming to try and pick one thing to study at a time because there's a stupid amount to learn.
Yeah. I my first talent was drawing growing up. Mm-hmm. And I took it as far as I could. I really wasn't good at coloring, and I just like had fun drawing. And kind of like, I believe if you don't use the talent, you kind of lose it.
Right.
And I think I lost it a little bit because I focused on other things. But the hardest thing for me when I was drawing is like faces.
Oh
Like,
God, it's so hard.
yeah.
I've been trying to get better and most of the time I still just avoid it really bad. And I'm doing a course right now that's like specifically for drawing like portraits and faces because it's physically painful for me to draw faces. And some people, that's like all they feel comfortable drawing because they're just attracted to drawing human features. It's what they see every day. But I'm so scared by it.
So you said you're into art, but let's like narrow it down. What you think like is your specialty right now?
Hard to say because I feel like I don't stick to one thing long enough to really have a definitive like theme or style. And as I learn new things all the time, I get kind of obsessed with like trying to recreate this look and then moving on to this technique I think is cool. And it's always changing.
So like the biggest question, because like I know you from college when you went into film, as a film major, and so you're into cameras, you're into editing and a documentary style, and then didn't you do animation too for a little bit?
Yeah.
So like, are you not interested in those things anymore? Like,
this is like a kind of a big life moment and story for me. Because I was really into film for a long time, like maybe 10 years or so. I was just like, this is it. Like, I'm doing that. And I mean, you knew me back then and saw how like into everything I was and how committed I was. And I moved to LA immediately after graduating in order to pursue that. But I also very quickly was put in a position where I got to see sort of like people working in not necessarily movies all the time, but like documentaries and commercials and titles and animation and that kind of editing. Like I got to see kind of the pinnacle of that up close immediately. And I had the feeling where like reality didn't really match up with what I'd been imagining for so long.
Oh guys, you might be killing my dream right now.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that like it's not a good thing to pursue, but it just, I guess I'd tunneled so hard on like, or I'd visualized it a certain way for so long. And to see people like, that's their 9-to-5 job, except Hollywood is never 9 to 5, but regardless, like, you know.
Wait, I want to get into that. So you said you saw things at the pinnacle, and are you saying it scared you, or you didn't see it match up with? You said it didn't match up with your reality of what you thought you're capable of, or?
I guess like when I pictured, like, you know, when you pick a career or like a path, you always think about like, what is the like final tile on this look like? Yeah. Right. And like you visualize yourself in that position. And what I'd been visualizing for a long time didn't match up with how things actually worked.
Ooh, yeah.
And not to say that it was like that much different, I guess. I just didn't anticipate, like I said, things like it being an actual job with hours and the struggle you have to get through being an assistant to get there. Like I worked very closely with the assistants, so I saw what they went through and I heard their struggles personally all the time.
Yeah.
And I also like heard what they were asked to do and felt simultaneously like just a reality check. And also that I was ill prepared to pursue something that I thought I was very prepared for. And it made me feel like if I tried to pursue that, I would immediately be found out as a fraud.
Oh gosh, okay.
And that like I wouldn't be able to do the things they needed me to do. And like I said, probably part of that is because I was working at a place that produced like really high
Are
quality
you gonna be
stuff.
able to like say their name? Like,
I kind of don't want to. I
Okay,
kind of
okay.
don't want to name drop it, but like, is a very well known place, and I was very lucky to have my first job in California be at one
what
of
was
these
like
places.
the connect that got you there? What did you do? Did you just apply and they accepted you? Like,
Kind of like my but it's also kind of convoluted. So when I moved to LA, the reason I moved so quickly is because a friend of mine on Facebook who I knew from like 4th grade YMCA softball.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to her in a very long time. Posted that she lived in LA now and her roommates were going to like work a summer job somewhere, so they were subletting their room. And I was just like, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, hell's not really the best.
I was just like,
fuck yeah.
yeah, I was like, fuck it. You know,
Yeah.
the room's open in 3 weeks. I want to go.
Damn,
Let's
so
just
you
make
took
it
a
happen. Yeah. And
So you're being bold.
at the time, it felt like too sudden to really like worry about it. But it was like a lot. And so she was the only person in LA I knew. And she knew I was job hunting. I was unemployed for maybe like 3 months.
Oh, in LA?
Yeah.
What did you do to get by? Like, did you busk? Like, did you like work waitress? Like, I mean,
no.
that's what they say that you mostly do. In LA.
I had like a cushion for job hunting.
Okay,
and like I applied to a bunch of places, and she actually went to Elon College, and she saw in the like Elon alumni Facebook group, because they had essentially like a media arts major there, and they had an alumni group, and people posted like job openings and stuff. And one of the people who worked at this company posted a job opening, and she recommended me for it. And next thing I knew, I was interviewing and got the job.
So, are you pretty good at interviews, do you think?
Most of the time I kind of feel like I'm not, but it's hard to judge yourself. Like, I've never recorded myself, so it's hard to know. But I felt like the ghost of a charismatic person possessed me on that day.
Oh, okay.
And I felt like I impressed everybody a lot.
All right, so like, tell people about LA. Like, is it everything that people think it is? Did you go to crazy parties? Was there a lot of coke? Like,
there was a moderate amount of coke, but I didn't do any.
Okay.
I'm a good child.
How, like, did you visit all the places in LA, like Beverly Hills, like?
Oh yeah, I actually lived very close. Well, not like very close to Beverly Hills. I lived on like the corner of a very nice neighborhood, which meant I had a nice apartment, but also that my rent was a lot.
Was it like walkable to like a lot of famous like venue, like
well,
buildings and stuff?
The thing that most people don't understand about LA is that it's not actually like one big city where there's like this area and this area. It's a bunch of little cities crammed very tightly together. So you'll find like, you know, all of your kind of staples of a small town or neighborhood in a much smaller area. So a lot more things are walkable, because you can get like to the grocery store a couple blocks that way. There's a Target a couple blocks that way. There's a boba place across the street.
Oh, I love boba. I love boba.
It was, my last apartment was in a very convenient location.
So how long did you stay out there in LA?
I was out there almost exactly 4 years.
4 years. That's a pretty long time to survive out there. You didn't go homeless. I know LA's like has a huge homeless population. Like,
yeah.
Did you like get like, how was that for you out there? Did they ask you for your money? Did they like bug you? Did like,
most people out there don't actually. Like, there's certain places where there's more interaction between just like people on the street, and I've been in situations where like somebody who, I don't know about their housing situation, but somebody who's clearly a little bit just like not right started talking to the people I was with, and I just felt like kind of unsafe and walked away, but the guys in the group wanted to keep talking to them for some reason, and that was weird. But usually like no trouble. People are just people, you know, everybody's trying to get by.
all right, so name the craziest thing that happened in LA during your 4 years. And try to be as like descriptive as possible.
I feel like a lot of the kind of crazy stuff is more general than localized to me, except, you know, like relationship based things, which I don't really want to get into, and those will happen anywhere you live.
Yeah.
But
did
stuff
you like date any famous people?
No, but I did meet up with one a couple times.
Like through like Tinder or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
You like swiped right on a celebrity, like maybe. Okay, that's cool.
I will not say.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, like I heard like most celebrities now, like, you have to like sign a like non-disclosure form.
Oh, no, it's more personally like I just kind of I feel like it's weird to get into it.
Okay.
Don't want to kiss and tell.
Okay, I got you. So,
I don't know.
all right, you did LA, but you're now back in, where are you from again? Like, where are you from?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach. How was Myrtle Beach for you growing up?
I mean, as far as places to grow up, I think it's pretty nice because, you know, it's a large tourist town, so it has a ton of entertainment and amenities, but half the year only the locals are there. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that are well maintained and nice to enjoy, but there is also the problem of like there's a lot of idiot tourists around a lot of the time.
Yeah. How close were you to the beach?
Very close, like a block away.
Okay, so all right, I had Winston Warner. You know who Winston Warner is?
Of course, he's my bud. I've known him since like first grade. Okay.
And then recently, last episode at Dexter Mitchell, y'all all went to Myrtle Beach High School. So
yeah, and me and Winston went to the academy too.
The academy? Oh yeah. So he was talking about it. Like, y'all learned film editing in high school.
Yeah, actually, like our film course there, shout out to Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Was more rigorous than, like, as far as information goes, than the USC classes. He
so like
ground us down with work, and like the quality of stuff people were making wasn't the same, and obviously like your first couple of video projects are not going to be very good anyway, but like just as far as like film history and learning about the different technologies and different types of shots, how things work, such a wealth of information from there that I didn't get anywhere else.
So that's like kind of like I noticed like from you when like we're taking classes together, you would make stuff and it would be like better than everyone else's, to be honest. Like,
well, thank you.
And then like
I tried very hard.
So like, yeah, like, all right, do you think college was worth it for you?
It's kind of subjective for like any art school, TBH. Like, having worked in the film industry, I can tell you that where you went to college only matters if people from your college are active in Hollywood and are actively trying to recruit people from their college. And there are a couple places like Ringling that
I've never heard of that.
It's a big art school in Florida.
Okay.
That have like a considerable network of people, but from like University of South Carolina, it really doesn't matter. You could have gone out there with no degree and worked as a PA for a little while and been fine. It really is about connections over like stuff, and through the stuff you do, you gain a portfolio that otherwise you could have created somewhere else.
So why did you go to USC?
Because it was in state, and that's what I could afford and had scholarships for.
Okay. Like, what do you think is like your best memory from college? Like art, like doing arts, like projects and stuff like that. What was your favorite thing you made in college?
Probably one of my two final films, either like my animation project or Small Warm Things, that like 15-minute narrative film, which I actually want to make it into a comic in the future. I think that would be very well suited for it, because like I wrote the whole thing, and I'm sure Ryan would be fine with it if I converted it. But
you talking about Ryan? What's his last name? Goucher?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to murder his last name. So Small Warm Things. Explain like to people what that was in college. What you did. What was it about?
It was a narrative film, about like 10 to 15 minutes long, and it was about a girl who was struggling with finding reasons to not end her life.
Okay.
It was very dark, but it had comedic moments throughout, and just instead of having an overwhelming message at the end, as you often do with this type of heavy subject matter, it had more of like a slow realization through these small moments of the fact that like life has more to it than just black and white or like a big message coming. You have to kind of find your own meaning in the small warm things.
Okay. So, like, would you say that kind of like is about mental health, mental illness?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
And
for sure.
like, what's your thoughts about mental health and mental illness, like, in your personal life?
Well, they say write what you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like subject matter that's close to me, and I feel like I can write about it from, a first person point of view. And it's something like I always kind of strive to make work that people can see themselves in and people can relate to. Not really in like the cheesy, oh so relatable way, but more of like people can make connections through your work. And I just really enjoy when people want to come up and like talk to you about something afterwards and like share their experience. And it's like, that's the kind of work that I want to make, stuff that prompts conversations and thinking about your own life while you're watching it or looking at it or reading it.
All right. So I think I want to bring up is like we were talking, like I kind of like struggle with making my own stuff because like I always get to the end where I say, what's the point? So like, what's the point for you when you make stuff?
I mean, I think it depends. Like I'm working on a big script right now for a book I want to make in the future. And I want to have it very thoroughly planned out. So I've already sat down and thought about like, what are the themes of this? What does this bring to the table? Because I want to really highlight those things throughout it. But then I draw stuff like Country Toad, and it really means nothing except it's a frog in a hat with a guitar. And I think you have to have like a good balance of meaningful and meaningless to keep things fun and interesting.
So the book, when did you get that idea that you wanted to write a book?
I think I've always come up with stories.
Is it a picture book? Comic?
Yeah, it's going to be a graphic novel.
Oh, okay.
Eventually.
Yeah, we gotta explain the full. It's a graphic novel, but you're writing the script for it.
Right.
You know the title?
Right now it's Katie and the Demon Slayers.
Katie and the Demon Slayers.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's supernatural.
And it's a work in progress. How long you been working on it total?
Well, I came up with the initial idea. Well, I just had like a vibe for a character I thought would be cool. Maybe like 2 years ago. And over like the course of the last year, I've really tried to like hone in on it and figure out where it would go. And like the look of the character has changed completely. Many things about their personality are very different, and I'm putting those things into a different character, but so it's evolved completely. But it's really fun to just have something like that I can work on all the time and be constantly thinking about.
All right, so like who's your inspirations with like graphic novels, comics?
Oh gosh, there are a lot. If I had brought in any props, I would have loved to bring in like, I have a good collection of books that I haul everywhere with me, and it's very heavy.
Oh, okay.
Like every time I move.
Okay.
And
what's the books for? Like, what are they?
It's a big variety.
Yeah.
So like stuff like Blankets by Craig Thompson is really good. I read a lot of manga, so like I really love the Jujutsu Kaisen manga. It's so good, both story and visuals.
Tell me about that. Like, explain it for someone who never like heard of that before. What's it about?
So it's kind of the same. It's a type of story you've heard of a million times. Like, you could probably name 6 movies if I go vague with this explanation. So it's like a normal person encounters an event that reveals this kind of like supernatural world to them, and their life is changed and things happen because of that, which is also kind of going to be the plot of mine, but very different.
Okay.
So it's about that, but mine has more love and relationships in it because I like that.
All right. Is it like erotica or?
Oh God, no.
Okay. Blankets. What is like Blankets by Craig Thompson about?
That one is a autobiographical coming of age story. And it's just more about like, obviously I love the visuals of it. They're super good. It's all just black and white ink drawing. And it's like super masterful because of that. And so is the manga I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the storytelling of it is so genuine and personal, but also like there are these moments that are elevated to almost fantastical. Just for instance, like if you look at someone and you think they're like super beautiful, you might think that they're like angels dancing behind them or something. And
Okay.
you know, in a graphic format, you
saying.
can actually explore that and show the character's inner thoughts and wants visually, and it's super well explored in that book.
So
Very
what was
beautiful.
like? So what was like the first moment like you decided you wanted to draw?
It's a little bit messy because originally I was thinking, because I did that animation piece in college, which was mostly rotoscoped, so it's drawing but not really. I was thinking I really enjoyed working on this. I want to do a couple more little animations, and I have a couple like little GIFs that are meant to be kind of standalone art pieces that I worked on after moving to LA. And I was frustrated while working on them because I wasn't good at art. And I thought maybe I should practice. But then I kind of didn't, but the thought was in my head. And a couple months later, I was in the office and I was just really bored because...
You were in LA?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't like being like braggadocious, but this is really the truth. I was just very caught up on my work because I was good at it. So I was like ahead and I had nothing to do. Except,
what did you exactly do for work?
I worked in the engineering office. So I was doing a lot of like data management and like things with servers and different assets.
Upload all the footage basically? Like, am I getting it like...
Yes and no.
Okay.
There are a lot of different aspects to it. I did a lot of things.
Is it like live stuff? Like...
No, this is all like, they said there's like documentary work, commercial work, like trailers for TV shows and stuff. None of it was like live things, except there was footage, but that was imported by the assistants, not by me.
Okay.
There were times I would like do deliverables to clients for like, these are our dailies, but that wasn't my primary job. But I was bored. And our office is just flush with materials for making art, and every computer workstation is set up for these things. So I had a Wacom tablet there, and I was just like, this is a cool GIF of a fox jumping around that I saw. Let's just try to paint it. And so I did. And I got a couple compliments on it. It was fun to make. You can scroll back on my Instagram and see it. And it was just kind of fun. So I just like kind of kept doing little small stuff like that at work when I was bored. And eventually it turned into sort of more of a hobby. And now I've kind of commoditized it, but...
So I say you commoditize it. So what are you selling right now, and what kind of pieces are you selling, and like explain more what you're doing now, basically.
Well, you see people online that are selling prints and shirts and stickers, and it always just looks fun because if you make something, you're always just like, oh, I want to see that on something.
Okay,
I want it to be more than just a JPEG. So I'd always found that kind of exciting. And right before COVID hit, I had applied and got in to be in a little like zine fest that Indie Grits was doing. And I thought it would be fun to just make a couple little prints, come back and see people at Indie Grits and do that. And so I had completely prepped for that event. I ordered a couple prints. I actually got a little bit over my head, but I'm glad I did because I enjoyed doing this and I'm glad I did it. And I designed and ordered pins. So I have a pin design that I'm very proud of. I should have worn it.
Okay.
And then like a sticker or two. But then COVID happened and I got the email that the event was canceled. So then I had all of this merch and nothing to do with it. So it was just like wasted money sitting at my house.
How much did you spend, like, total?
At that time, the pens are the most expensive thing. So those are maybe like $200 for a set of 100. And maybe like an additional $100 for my prints and stickers because I ordered very small quantities. So maybe like $300, not a lot, but that's still $300. And I don't want to just have stuff sitting around in my house. So I did a little online store and I got some orders from friends and that was fun. But kind of like more the point of signing up for the Indie Grits thing was that I wanted to have a booth at an event so I could feel more confident about myself and the art that I was making. Because I used to go to events like that and buy stuff from people and it was really fun. And I always looked up to those people and I was just thinking, why not me? You know, why can't I do that too? You don't have to be painting the Mona Lisa to participate.
Yeah. That's kind of how like I networked with you again, like after like 4 or so years. Like I saw you at the punk flea market selling your art.
Yeah.
I saw it like going over the bridge to Mount Pleasant. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. But then, like, my brother and his boyfriend wanted to go, and they invited me. And I randomly, like, just went. I wasn't even, like, dressed up or anything. And I, like, saw all these artists selling, like, their stuff. And I wanted to talk to each and every one of them. Because I love talking about art. And I love talking to people who, like, make stuff. And, like, I came to a realization that, like, I'm not making anything, really. And then I saw you. And it was, like, it was, like, after 4 or something years. And you were doing it. You were selling your art. And...
yeah, I you know, like I said, I felt like I was like, why not me?
Yeah.
And I spent a couple months all sad because that first event was canceled. And I follow somebody that does these punk flea markets they posted about it. And I was just like, screw it, I'll apply. And I got in and I did one over Thanksgiving of last year. And it was super fun. And I far exceeded my expectations of how well I would do.
Did you turn a profit?
Yes, I did. Which is, I got over like the big hump of refinancing all of my inventory, which was like not an entirely easy feat, but I eventually got there and like I turned a profit, and that has enabled me to like pay for signing up for more events and making more merch. So it's a machine.
Yeah. So are we saying that you, Faith Cox, are now an entrepreneur, business owner?
Self-employed.
Okay. Like,
I don't know.
Would you call yourself an entrepreneur?
No, but it's probably true.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you think that was always in you, that you wanted to like do your own thing, not have any rules, and sell stuff you wanted? Like when did that mindset change? Did you like get inspiration from people, or did you just like say, like, when did you want to do your own thing and that's it?
I mean, I think I've always been attracted to jobs and positions where you'd be able to make choices for yourself. Like, that's why I liked editing, because at a point it was just you in a room and you were doing it, and it wasn't like fill out this spreadsheet, do this appendectomy. Like, you had freedom and creativity. Not to say that people shouldn't be like very praised for doing appendectomies, but it didn't involve the kind of creative choice that I would have liked. And I've always been kind of like stubborn, and working for myself works well. So it checks a lot of boxes for how I like to operate.
Have you been like fired from a job? Like, you ever quit a job?
With COVID, I got fired. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Wait, you were in LA when COVID happened?
Yes.
Oh, whoa. How was that how long did you stay when it happened?
Well, it's kind of complicated. So LA obviously is a very liberal city, which means that people take it very seriously, which is good. But just keeping that in mind, you know that the city is going to be on very heavy lockdown. So that kind of happened slowly but quickly. And sort of like I was on the team that helped the office convert to work from home, and helping with a lot of the last technical stuff on site before everybody, because people were already working at home, but we needed to get the technical stuff up and running before that could happen. And as soon as that was done, I was working from home as well. And my roommate pretty much, even during non-COVID times, was only at our apartment like 2 days out of the week. And after a couple weeks of her not being there at all and just being completely by myself, I was really losing it. And so I like asked my office for permission if I could just fly home, ride this out with my family, still work remotely, everything would be fine. And they gave me the okay. They asked if I wanted to take additional equipment, which thankfully I said no to.
So what did you have to take? Like iMac?
I took a laptop, and they wanted me to take like monitors and peripherals and stuff. Which
you do dual monitor when you like do your job, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of extra peripherals and stuff are very par for the course for like an editing facility. You know, people will be flown out to wherever they're doing like the commercial shoot, and they'll bring all their own gear just because it's what they know it works, and you've just got it. But anyway, so I worked from home for a couple weeks, and then kind of just out of nowhere, our company did a massive cut and I didn't make it. So I was very stunned, but at home with my family. I mean, nobody wants to lose their job, especially if you work there for like 3.5, 4 years. So there's certainly an aspect of taking it personally, but at the same time, I was one of like 30 people that got fired that night. So it wasn't exactly personal.
Was it through an email, through a like company email? Like,
oh no,
was it through Zoom? Or?
I got a call, like a phone call.
Okay.
What did they say? Weird.
Like termination, or like what did they? Words they?
Well, they actually
you're
like
fired.
I feel like kind of comfortable saying this because I've not revealed where I worked for, but
yeah.
Perhaps
Warner Brothers.
Perhaps cut this out. But they like avoided that kind of language and just kind of said like reevaluating your position, because it's kind of like a lawyery thing to do where
that sounds weak,
by avoiding saying anything definitive, you avoid creating a definitive situation for things like unemployment or whatever, especially with all of the like PPE loans and stuff at the time. Having non-definitive language was kind of key.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm only on this end of it. I don't know their standpoint. I just know what happened, and that was that. So then I was across the country from my apartment and now out of a job, still having to pay rent.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I'm not making money. But like I was able to get on unemployment and stuff. So it was fine. It's just kind of a non-optimal situation. And it's been rough transitioning back to moving here when like there weren't situations where I would have been able to like say bye to all my friends there. Or really to like say bye to the life I had there. Ooh. Because like with the way COVID hit, you didn't know that the last time you went to your favorite bar was going to be the last time you went.
Yeah.
And you didn't know the last time you saw your friend was going to be the last time you saw your friend. You know.
What was your favorite bar in LA?
Clifton's downtown. It's multi-story, has a big tree in the middle.
Okay.
They have a live swing band. They have a hidden tiki bar. It's incredible. Love it.
All right. Like, can you like, what's a celebrity you saw in person that was like you're most shocked about that you saw?
I got very physically close to Aubrey Plaza twice, and I smelled her, and she smelled really nice. Which sounds very creepy, but she was wearing perfume, and she like stood close to me.
Was she like in a crew right beside your crew, and y'all was like
no,
right
she was at our office, and she was like doing stuff in the kitchen, and I was also in the kitchen.
What? Did you say a word? Were you scared to say a word?
Oh, I didn't say anything to her, because if you work in a place where there's a lot of celebrities kind of in and out, you're trained to not talk to them.
Okay.
Because they're there to work or like to oversee something, and it's very disrespectful to like our employers. Well, it's disrespectful to our employers to be like, can I get your autograph in a non-public place? And people have done that and been fired. So
Would you move back to LA?
Yes. I really liked it there. It took a while because it's like, a big unfamiliar city. And like I said, I moved with no other friends. But at the end of the time, I really enjoyed living there and I miss it. Like, it's a city where a lot is happening all the time. And I really liked that.
Okay. And so you're self-employed now. And you're selling your art. What type of art are you selling right now? If they go to like your table, what would they see? What type of stuff?
I have a selection of prints. I have a ton of fun stickers.
What's on the stickers and what's on the print?
My prints are mostly girls with swords looking either sad or sassy.
Okay. All right.
And then also stuff like a toad playing guitar. And a lot of my stickers are kind of on the more silly side. But I have a couple, like I'm coming out. I recently did a little like sticker pack and that was very successful. And that had a bunch of like my stickers that are creatures in it. Mm-hmm. So just for fun, I started doing one that's, I started like drawing out ones that are girls in really cool, colorful outfits rollerblading. Mm-hmm. And those are all in like holographic. So it's just kind of like the spirit of having fun and doing a sport.
Where do you get all your stuff made from? Like where they manufactured at?
Weirdly, my stickers are out of Sweden.
Well, okay.
That's just where they happen to be located, but they have a very high quality product. So,
and you could choose holographic, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a fair amount of control over like the different makes and materials. They offer a lot of selection.
Are you trying to get rich, Faith?
I mean, I want to live well, but that's not really the goal. Like,
okay.
I more so just want to make stuff that I feel good about. And like, I don't know. I have artists that I look up to and I feel like they can look at their work and be like, this is all good. And this is all portfolio worthy. And this is all representative of who I am as an artist. Whereas I've made a good bit of stuff, but not all of it feels like stuff I'm proud of. And a lot of that's because I've continued to learn since the point that I made that piece. But like, I just want to be at the point where I'm able to make the things like the book I was talking about earlier that I have envisioned.
And what's it called again?
Katie and the Demon Slayers.
Okay,
yeah. Working title.
Like,
I want to be able to make the stuff that I dream about making and feel good about it.
Okay. Faith, do you have any questions for me?
How's it going?
It could be better. It could be better. It'd be better. There's a lot of things that went through my mind. It could be better. Yeah, it could be better. I don't think at your point, like I do want to be the person who like can do it on their like not do it on their own, but like put their stuff out there and sell it, make money from it.
Well, see, this is what I've learned is that like I said, you don't have to be at the top to participate. And when I know like I do this, whenever you look at your own stuff, you see like how shitty it looked before it was at the final version every time you look at it, or like you see all the parts you wish were better. But other people look at it and they're like, damn, that's cool. And when I do events like this in person, a lot of people tell you that to your face, and it's incredible. And like, as a person who's very doubtful of my own ability, I really need that. And it's fantastic for me. It helps motivate me a lot. So you really shouldn't feel quite so bad about yourself.
I mean, I don't, it's not like that bad. It's just, so like the past few years I've been creating stuff for someone else. And it's just like that thought is like, I've been having like a lot of like death anxiety lately.
Fair.
Huh?
I mean, fair with like COVID,
like family, like all this stuff going on.
Totally.
And I just like had this thought that like, if I die, like what are people going to remember me by? And like, that made me want to do the podcast because like they could look back, listen to the podcast, watch the video, stuff that gives them memories basically. And like, I felt like the past few years, like I put all my energy into something that like I wouldn't want to be remembered by. Like, I mean, I've been to like 4 funerals this year and like they sum up people's lives in like 2 minutes. So Do you think you would want your life to be summed up in 2 minutes? Like,
is it a fun-filled, action-packed 2 minutes?
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, yeah. What would they say about you
deep.
when you pass away when you're like 100 and like 80 or something like that?
Hopefully that I was very kind and that I made some cool shit.
Okay. Do you want like a legacy? Like, do you want...
I was actually thinking about this exact topic like a week or two ago, and I feel like it's too heavy to think about because like with enough time, everything is lost to history and time.
That's true.
So, you know, even the works of Shakespeare will eventually be forgotten. So you can't really hope to be eternal. Therefore, you should just kind of live.
Just kind of, well, that's kind of like what my therapist told me. Basically, what do you think is like the most important thing for you right now? Like, just in general, like the top of the top. Like when you wake up in the morning, what do you think is the most important thing you want to do? Other than live, because like that's like
I know,
voluntary. Well, involuntary, but yeah.
I mean, this sounds like very sad, but I feel like a lot of the time I'm usually focused on like, let's not be depressed.
Okay. Respect.
So I think about like being in a good headspace a lot, but I feel really good lately. So I think I'm just thinking about like self-improvement.
So what gets you in a good headspace?
Maintaining good habits.
Ooh, discipline, basically.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things that are good for mental health are routine based and maintaining a rhythm. And especially I found with art stuff, as soon as you get momentum, it's so much easier to start things and to follow through than it is if you are coming out cold.
Oh, okay. I guess you're saying. All right. So, like, how do you get in your like creative flow? I don't feel like I've been in that in such a long time, actually. Like, what makes you like be able to sit down and do something and not stop for hours because you're so passionate about it? Is it because you know what? Is it because what you're doing you know is like really good and you just like want to make it better, or like?
No, everything starts out bad.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I just get kind of fixated on stuff. Like there was a thing I was doing as a warm-up drawing recently that I ended up spending hours on instead just because I got really into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like I said, if you create a routine where I know like every morning at 11 a.m. I'm going to have had breakfast and then sit down at my computer to do work. And like, that's my goal at that point is do a quick warm up and then work. You become accustomed to doing that every day and then you just do it. Like,
so what is a quick warm up for people who don't know that? In the drawing space, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Just.
You're warming your hand. It's like exercising. You're
exactly.
Your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like two
Getting the
kinds.
blood flowing. Okay.
So one of them is just like doing different kinds of lines and circles and like little exercises to just kind of like prep your arm muscles for the day.
Do you have stronger wrists than most, stronger fingers than most?
I don't know. I grew up playing piano, so I do feel like I have strong fingers. But and then like the other kind is just kind of the creative warm up where you make something with a time limit and it's more non-serious, less polished, more just get it and go. And it's going to look rougher than it would if you drew it after whatever you were working on that day.
Okay. What do you like to do when you warm up? Like, what do you like to draw? Like, mostly?
It depends. Like, lately I've really liked drawing musicians, like concert stuff. I think just because there's a lot of, like, energy in it. Sometimes I'll draw myself, just being grumpy or silly looking.
Do you have, like, a really amazing self-portrait of yourself?
No.
Really? Come on.
There's actually a thing I put up on my Instagram recently that is like my actual face in the middle. And then it's a bunch of self-portraits I've done from the last year. And it shows just how different they are. And part of that's because different like ability at different times and different things I've learned. But mostly because I feel like my self-image is kind of shifting a lot. So I am never consistent with how I represent myself.
Do you feel like have you changed your image multiple times, and why If you have, why do you think you have?
I think a lot of it's mood based. Like when I'm feeling silly, I draw myself more cartoony, and like I made a little short comic yesterday, and it's more realistic, but it's still like very simplified. So it looks very different than like a lot of the portraits on there because it's just a different mood and thing. We got to kind of wrap up soon. Sorry.
Okay.
Like very soon.
Okay.
We're late.
Okay.
So it's hard to say. And a lot of it just comes down to what I'm looking at the time and what like I'm consuming actively on the side of what I'm drawing.
All right. So like tell people where to find you at and like tell them like, I guess where to purchase your stuff at. Like,
I am on Instagram at its_Artemae, which is ARTAMAE. I'm very bad at spelling. And that's like generally my name across all social media is its_Artemae. And my website is faithcox.com. Got all my merch on there. Shipping is $1 for literally everything. So go crazy.
All right. I got one question. The fox. You drew the fox a lot when you were out of college. What's the fox representing for you?
I think initially it was because my last name rhymes with fox.
Okay.
And also just kind of like the spirit of an animal that's like playful but also has teeth. Like it's a mood.
Okay, it's the mood. All right. Well, this is episode 5 of Things and Dreams podcast. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, sorry, I talk a lot.
No, you don't. Yeah, like so it's happening tonight, but people are not going to know until I put this out Sunday. What's going on tonight?
I'm vending at an event where there's going to be a bunch of bands playing, a bunch of other tables. It's a little night market. It'll be super fun. Chatting with people that come by the booth, selling a little bit of merch, but mostly just hanging out and having a good time.
All right.
I do those kinds of little events all the time, so I'm posting new ones on Instagram. Okay.
Follow Faith at Artemae. And all right, Faith, you're gonna end the podcast by saying whatever you want. Your little spill, whatever you want to say. Okay.
Thanks for coming by.
All right. And that's a wrap.